Lamb to the Slaughter is an episode by Roald Dahl explaining the life of a normal household worker and a wife who's trying to keep up the pace with her husband's profession as well. Here, he tries to explain the wife who is in dire love with her husband, takes a lot of care of him, and takes care of the household chores as well, and tries to deal with an upcoming ill treat and a shock that her husband gives to her, not following the normal routine. Now, there are certain points that we need to follow up in the summary. That is, Mrs. Maloney's happy times with her husband, their Thursday routine, Mrs. Maloney is dazed, creating alibi, information to the police, her crime remains unknown. Now, let's understand what all characters and what all scenarios are included in these 6 vivid points in the summary. Mrs. Maloney's happiest time with her husband. Now here the author tries to explain the vivid role of Mrs. Maloney, who is a housemaker and keeps a pace with her husband, who is a detective, Mr. Mallon, Patrick Mallonan, and she tries to keep a good pace with her husband's profession, takes care of the household chores, gives him the entire time and love, but in return expects a lot of time as well. Now here she is 6 months pregnant in this episode, and she is really happy with her husband. She spends a lot of time with her husband, goes out for outings, and she feels really good in the evening having a cup of wine with him. Moving on, their Thursday routine. Now their general Thursday routine is to dine in out in a new cafe or a dinner slot every Thursday. Now this Thursday, they do not follow a normal healthy routine. When Mr. Patrick Mellon comes back home, he is very exhausted and asks if Mrs. Mellon can cook back at home. She explains yes, she had enough of peas and lamb in the kitchen and she can really cook for the night. But he makes her sit down and explains her that he wants to say something which might shock her, but any which ways he has to say it. Now he is trying to explain that he wants to leave the house, does not want to stay with her anymore, and is least interested in her. Reasons can be varied, but the author here does not reveal the reasons. Maybe out of our own illuminations and imagination, we can understand that the man, the Patrick Maloney, the detective himself, is looking for another female in his life. This really bothers Mrs. Maloney, and she actually gets up in an instinct, in a spontaneous and a hilarious way, kills her husband. Creating alibi. Now she understands this one thing, Mrs. Maloney, that she is a wife of a detective. So she needs to be very precise, very natural, so that she cannot get caught in the murder. Now, information to the police. She understands that she has to inform the police as well. She creates a very natural behavior. After hitting her husband and he being declared dead, she gets up, reminces, gets ready, goes to the grocer's shop, buys the cut peas and comes back home. She talks to the grocers very naturally, very sweetly, like nothing has happened, and is a normal day at work. Her crime remains unknown. Eventually, the way she carries out everything, her crime remains unknown throughout the whole process. In this, all these 6 points are very important. If you memorize all these 6 points, you will be able to explain the story and summarize it in an easier way.